lot of wins for progressive policies. Last night, we saw a lot of ballot measures pass with significant margins in some unexpected states. So let's get into those. In Arizona, Proposition 209 would reduce medical debt. Significantly won with 72% of the vote. Voters want to reduce medical debt. This is a predatory practice. Over in California, Proposition 1, the state constitution would be amended to protect a person's reproductive freedom in their most intimate decisions, including the right to abortion and contraceptives. So that's Proposition 1, 65% of the vote winning in California. In Michigan, Proposition 3 also protects abortion rights. This was a state where this was such a contentious issue, where the governor was going back and forth trying to block trigger bans from going into effect. It turned into a big legal fight, but 56.2% of voters would like a constitutional right to reproductive freedom over in Michigan. In Illinois, Constitutional Amendment 1. This is a really big one. This measure would amend the state constitution to guarantee workers the right to organize and bargain collectively. So protecting workers' rights to organize is huge right now, as we see right to work laws go into effect across the country and so much union busting rampant across the country. That passed with 58.7% of the vote. More wins for workers over in Nebraska. Nebraska voted to increase the minimum wage. They won a $15 minimum wage an hour that would go into effect in 2026, up from $9 an hour now. That one with 58.2% of the vote. Nevada also voted to increase the minimum wage as well and implement ranked choice voting. So Nevada question 2 election results on minimum wage regulation, 54% of the vote, $12 an hour by July 2024. Then, interestingly enough, over in Colorado, our friends are always way ahead of us when it comes to the substances. So Proposition 122, the possession and use of certain psychedelic plants and fungi would be decriminalized for people 21 and older, and the state would create new regulations for the distribution and administration of these substances. That's at 51%. Over in Maryland, question 4 legalizes cannabis on the same topic of substances. That one with 65.5% of the vote. In Missouri, marijuana was also legalized with 53.1% of the vote, a more conservative state. We also saw in Arkansas, they voted against marijuana legalization, so it wasn't a big win everywhere, but in some very unlikely states, some huge wins for progressive policies. We talked a little bit about this last night, and Cenk had some good words to say, so let's watch that video.
Look, guys, the ballot measures are showing you where the country actually is, okay? Because that's people beyond the team red, team blue, deceptive advertising, the Republicans saying they're in favor of fixing the economy while not actually proposing anything to fix the economy. You get beyond all that propaganda, basically, and you just say an issue. You want to legalize marijuana? Almost all the states say yes, although Arkansas just said no, okay? So soon Arkansas will be the only state where you can't smoke weed. And Biden will still be like, should we nationalize? Should we legalize nationally? I don't know. I mean, there's some Republicans in Arkansas that says no, no, probably not. Let's leave it to the next president. Anyway, and then minimum wage crushes everywhere. We'll check in on that because there's Nevada as a minimum wage bill today, and then there's another state that has a minimum wage ballot measure. And now, being able to negotiate collective bargaining, right, for power to the employees. If you turn on cable news, they're like, oh, that's probably gonna lose 90-10, right? I mean, who thinks the workers should have rights? No way. And obviously wins easily, right? So put them up as ballot measures, we win almost every time.
So my take is that if the policies themselves are popular, and these are policies that are theoretically a part of the Democratic Party platform, why are Democrats losing? It's all about how they're running and their messaging and what they're choosing to focus on and how they're governing. Are they delivering on these policies that they claim to support? So Dina, what are your thoughts on all of these big wins for ballot initiatives and what it means in the bigger picture?
Ballot initiatives give voters a chance to basically have like direct involvement in government, right? Instead of electing somebody with the hope that they're gonna then pass a law that's gonna create change. I think that certainly it empowers voters because they get to decide this minimum wage, like how much do we want the minimum wage, yes or no? And I know in California, these kind of ballot initiatives are hugely popular. And I can see these becoming more popular in other states because as Congress, with this very divided, even if, one party gets in power, they have such a hard time getting anything done. I mean, Biden actually did pass quite a bit of laws in the past 2 years, but that's unusual, right? Usually not much gets done. And I think voters sense that. They are frustrated that they're electing people over and over and over and things aren't getting done. I feel like we should address the gun issue more on ballot initiatives. And I know there's a Second Amendment issue, but I think that we can still craft things because so many times voters want things like they want the minimum wage, they want to legalize marijuana, they want reasonable gun control, but the people they elect can't actually get it done for like political reasons. And I say, hey, let's get more of these ballot initiatives. Let's put this more into voters' hands and like get it done. Just the one vote. Pass or fail, and it's done. You don't have to wait for months and months of negotiation. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think it's a big problem that sometimes, pundits and mainstream media and all over the media say things that are disconnected from what we hear on the ground. But I really need to express how true everything Dina said is when you talk to people on the ground. So in Kentucky, there was another ballot initiative, Amendment 2, to amend the Constitution to take away legal right to abortion. I went over to Kentucky and talked to people in Henderson, which was a place where this was contested. And the majority of people voted no, 54% were against it. And the amendment did not pass in Kentucky. So in a very conservative state like what we saw in Kansas with an abortion ballot initiative, they voted against essentially a legal ban to abortion. And when I talked to even the people who were pro-life, who planned on voting yes to the amendment, what they said to me was they were happy that the people got to directly decide on this. But when I asked them, do you think we need more ballot measures? Because it sounds like a lot of people are concerned that many women choose to have abortions because of lack of resources, lack of maternity leave. They feel they can't financially provide for a baby. Do you think if we voted to have some of our public dollars go to make sure women are taken care of if they're pregnant? She said yes. I think we need a lot more ballot measures like this. And in fact, she agreed that we need more ballot measures on how we decide how to spend public money on public goods. And so this is huge. We should be doing this far more. I think ballot measures have the potential to save democracy in many different ways. And common sense gun laws, overwhelmingly popular. Common sense gun reform, most people in the country agree that we need basic background checks. So having that on a ballot measure would be huge if something like that were to pass.
Yeah,
Dina,
I think let's do it, right? Let's do it. Yeah. I mean, the fact we can come up with some new ones, but I think that fact is people are frustrated that, like I said, they vote for somebody and it just doesn't get done. And ballot measures, it does take a lot of money to advertise. There have to be interest groups behind it in order to move it forward. But I think that there are a lot of really interested groups in things like gun control, and they could move. I think they can move issues forward. And then honestly, it helps with the Democrats or Republicans, because when you put up a ballot measure that is maybe going to be supported by Democrats, you're more likely to get the Democrats to even come out to vote to begin with. It becomes actually a motivating factor to get out the vote. And that could also be why they are more willing to kind of put money behind those measures. I've always thought, I wish when we file our taxes every year, we could have like a multiple choice thing saying, I want a percentage of my money to go to education, a percentage to go to, like you said, like helping women who maybe can't afford to have a child, and then whatever percentage they want to the military, anything else. Like, I just think people would be so much more willing to pay their taxes and so much more willing to participate in our government if we had a little bit more control over it, because this, indirect representation, our Congress, I think a lot of us feel like our voices aren't getting heard, and that's why people kind of get disenfranchised with the system.
Yeah. I'm so on board. We are solving the crisis of democracy here on Indisputable today, because Cenk pointed out that in Oklahoma not too long ago, there was a ballot measure that said Oklahoma can never have Sharia law. So the type of voters that got riled up about this and turned out to vote on this ballot measure, it was all a ploy to get their base of Christian evangelicals out to the polls and casting a ballot. I think you're right. Most people see that they vote for politicians who promise many things, but once they get into office, they govern on behalf of corporations, they cut back public goods, they lead to more privatization, and they're not making good on any of their promises. So why cast a ballot for a politician if we say, hey, we've got these ballot measures, you can vote directly on increasing your wages? That's gonna bring more people out to the polls. And I like what you said about taxes. I think the solution to a crumbling democracy, many people would say, right? There's a huge group of people in our country who don't even believe we have free and fair elections. Democracy is in peril in the United States. The solution to that could be giving more people, or giving more opportunities to people to participate in democracy, increasing the amount of direct democracy we have in this country. Can you vote on policy measures? That's huge. Can you vote on where your taxes are going directly? That's huge as well. If people see something happen when they vote for something, hey, that's gonna get more people participating and more people out to the polls. Any last thoughts on this before we go to break?
No, I mean, I just think that, the ballot measures, the way they're written too is simple, and as a lawyer, I mean, that language is huge. And, even if you wanted to know what the bill was, like the Florida bill, the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, as a lawyer, I was like, I want to read the language of this bill. I want to see exactly what was said. It was huge. The bill is huge. It's so hard to even, really, as a layperson, even understand exactly what was passed. The ballot measures are like 2 sentences, and we all know exactly what we're voting for and exactly what the new law is. And that's really how all laws should be, so they become tangible and we can really understand what is governing us at any time.
Yeah, and a lot of the language around legislation and policies intentionally made that way, intentionally made to be too thick for regular people to parse their eyes through. And so, to improve democracy, we've also got to make participating in the political process more accessible.